Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Jumu'ah Mubarak, and welcome to our weekly Jumu'ah Reminders program, brought to you every Friday at 2 p.m. by the Suffa Educational Foundation. And during this program, we seek to enliven the blessed day of Friday by remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His beloved Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And to do that, we are reading through Al-Wafi, which is a thorough commentary on the 40 Hadith compiled by Imam al-Nawawi, rahimahullah. And this hadith commentary is written by Shaykh Mustafa Dib al-Bugha and Shaykh Muhyi Mistu. It's translated by Mahdi Lok and published by Nawa Books in Singapore. And today we will be continuing on the lengthy commentary on the 34th hadith, inshallah. So let's begin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وأقدم إليك بين يدي ذلك كله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا حبيب الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا أول خلق الله وخاتم رسول الله أما بعد. The 34th hadith in the 40 Nawawiyya reads as follows in English. And it is on the topic of removing the reprehensible as an Islamic obligation. It is on the authority of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, who said, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam saying, whoever of you sees something reprehensible, let him change it with his hand. If he is not able to, then with his tongue. If he is still not able to, then with his heart. And that is the weakest of Iman, of faith, related by Muslim. Now going straight into legal matters and other guidance which can be drawn from this hadith, point number 16, inshallah. The generality of the responsibility and its specialness, its specificness. Commanding the good and forbidding the reprehensible is an obligation upon the entire ummah. Every Muslim who knows about something reprehensible and is able to rebuke to it is obligated to do so in the way we have learnt earlier in this commentary. There is no difference therein between the ruler and the ruled, or the scholar and the layman in this regard. The Exalted One has said in Surah Al-Imran, Ayah 110, You are the best nation ever to be produced before mankind. You enjoin the right and forbid the reprehensible. And Allah Azza wa Jal, the Glorified One, has also said in Surah At-Tawbah, Ayah 71, The men and women of the believers are friends of one another. They command what is right and forbid what is reprehensible. Both addresses to the nation are general. And likewise, most of the texts of the Sunnah bear a general address for all individuals, i.e., so that you command the good and forbid the reprehensible, or whoever of you sees something reprehensible, let him change it. However, the responsibility is emphasized for two classes of people, the scholars and the rulers. A. As for the scholars, it is because they have knowledge of Allah the Exalted's legislation, and other members of the Ummah may not have it. It is also because people's hearts and souls hold them in reverence and respect, which makes their commanding and forbidding more likely to be obeyed and more conducive to acceptance. It is because Allah the Exalted has granted them wisdom and fair admonition. Allah Azza wa Jal, the Exalted One, has said in Surah Al-Mujadalah, Ayah 11, Allah will raise and rank those of you who believe, and those who have been given knowledge. There is a great danger when the scholars of the Ummah are negligent regarding this trust that Allah the Exalted has placed upon their necks. Abu Dawood and At-Tirmidhi have related the wording being that of the latter, on the authority of Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, who said, The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said, When the children of Israel fell into disobedience, their scholars forbade them, but they did not desist. Then they started sitting with them in their gatherings. They developed relationships of mutual trust. They drank with them, And thus Allah struck their hearts against one another and cursed them on the tongues of Dawood and Isa the son of Maryam. And this is because they overstepped the limits, as mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'idah. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam sat down and leaned back. Then he said, "No, by the one in whose hand is my soul," until they brought them back to the truth. In other words, they made them bear with it, they held them to it, they became attached to them, and they brought them back to it. B. As for the rulers, their responsibility is greater. The danger if they fall short in commanding and forbidding is more considerable, because the rulers have sovereign power and authority. They have the ability to implement what they command and forbid and to make people comply. No harmful consequence is to be feared from their rebuke, because force and the weapons are in their hands, and people still attach importance to what the rulers command and forbid. This is why he sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, "Those who are restrained by the ruler are more than those who are restrained by the Quran." Ibn al-Athir has mentioned it in An-Nihaya. In other words, there are people who are not affected by admonition and instruction, and thus refrain from violating it and instead submit to the truth, but they will be restrained and held back when the ruler shows them his stick or the lustre of his sword. And when the ruler falls short in commanding and forbidding, the people of disobedience and iniquity become covetous and spring into action to spread evil and corruption, without respecting any sanctity or revering any law. This is why one of the fundamental attributes of a ruler whom Allah supports and gives victory to makes his kingdom firm and shows him the right way, is that he commands what is right and forbids the reprehensible. Allah Azza wa Jal, the Exalted One, has said in Surah Al-Hajj, ayahs 40-41, Allah will certainly help those who help Him. Allah is all-strong, almighty. They are those who, if we establish them firmly on the earth, will establish the prayer and pay the zakat and command what is right and forbid what is wrong. The end result of all affairs is with Allah. So establishing them firmly on the earth here means to make them rulers and leaders. Thus, when the rulers neglect this immense obligation, they betray the trust that Allah has placed upon their necks, and they neglect the people that Allah has put them in charge of. It is an absolute calamity when the rulers themselves become immersed in reprehensible behavior and refuse to listen to any sincere advisor or guide. Even worse is when they command the reprehensible and forbid the good, and act according to other than Allah's legislation. Thus, it befits the ruler of the Muslims to familiarize themselves with Allah's legislation. They should seek His protection and assistance in establishing Allah's legislation, commanding the people to good, and working in spreading it, forbidding them from the reprehensible and working to uproot it from communities, and warning them against becoming those whom Allah Azza wa Jal has described by saying in Surah Al-Qasas, ayah 41, "We made them leaders, summoning to the fire, and on the day of sanding they will not be helped." Point number 17. Some of the etiquettes of the one who commands and forbids. Such a person should follow what he commands and avoid what he forbids, so that his commanding and forbidding has an effect on the soul of whomever he is commanding and forbidding. It is also so that his deeds will be accepted by Allah Azza wa Jal, and his conduct will not be evidence against him that will put him in the fire on the day of standing. Allah Azza wa Jal, the Exalted One, has said in Surah As-Saf, ayahs 2 and 3, "You who believe, why do you say what you do not do? It is deeply abhorrent to Allah that you should say what you do not do." Al-Bukhari and Muslim have narrated from Usama ibn Zayd radiyallahu anhuma, who said, "I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam saying, a man will be brought on the day of standing, and then thrown into the fire. Then his bowels and intestines will come out, and he will go around the fire the way a donkey goes around a cairn. Then the people of the fire will gather around him and say, O so-and-so, what happened to you? Did you not command the good and forbid the reprehensible? He will reply, Indeed I did. I commanded the good, and I did not approach it. I forbade the reprehensible, and I did approach it. The final point for today, point number 18, insha'Allah, some of the qualities of faith. Commanding the good and forbidding the reprehensible is one of the qualities of faith. The precedence of the one who commands and forbids varies according to the degree of his commanding and forbidding. The one who changes with his hand is better than the one who changes with his tongue, and the one who changes with his tongue is better than the one who confines himself to rebuking with his heart, even if he is incapable of what is mentioned before. This is evidenced by his statement, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that is the weakest of Iman, of faith. It is also further evidenced by his statement, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer, and there is good in both. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alayhi wa ala alihi. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, hamdan yuwafi ni'mahu wa kafi mazidah. أستغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم غفار الذنوب ذا الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه من جميع المعاصي كلها والذنوب والآثام ومن كل ذنب أذنبته عمدا وخطأ ظاهرا وباطنا قولا وفعلا في جميع حركاتي وسكناتي وخطراتي وأنفاسي كلها دائما أبدا سرمدا من الذنب الذي أعلم ومن الذنب الذي لا أعلم عدد ما أحاط به العلم وأصال الكتاب خطه القلم وعدد ما أوجرته القدرة وخصصته الإرادة ومداد كلمات الله كما ينبغي لجلال وجه ربنا جماله وكماله وكما يحب ربنا ويرضى. يا الله يا ربي يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم يا Allah, we ask you to accept this small effort from us, Ya Allah, and to forgive us for our shortcomings and not being able to live by the words we read, Ya Allah. We ask you, Ya Allah, to give us deep understanding of the deen and allow us to act upon it, to have conviction in it, to have belief in it in our hearts as well as action upon our limbs. Ya Allah, keep us far away from that which is displeasing and disobedient to you, Ya Allah. Give us the strength, Ya Allah, to become the beloved of you, Ya Allah, to become the beloved of your beloved Al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Please forgive us, Ya Allah. Please erase our sins, Ya Allah. Please allow us to be stronger, Ya Allah, against the whispers of shaitan and the incitements of our nafs, Ya Allah. We ask you for nothing, Ya Allah, on this blessed day of Friday, except for your pleasure and your contentment, Ya Allah, and to be reunited with your beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in this life and the next, Ya Allah, in close company to you, Ya Allah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you very much everyone who joined us here today for our weekly Jumu'ah reminders. Inshallah we will be resuming from this week onwards, so look forward to our weekly sessions. I enjoy them. It's a reading for me and a learning for me, and anyone who joins along to listen to the recording is a bonus. So thank you. Please do share this with all of your friends and family if you find this beneficial. Please support our foundation, the Suffa Educational Foundation, in upholding the foundations of Islam, the Fardu Ain and Fardu Kifaya of the community, especially so for the Nusantara Muslims of Europe, London and the UK. We will see you next Friday, inshaAllah, bi'ithnillah. May you have a blessed Friday and a blessed week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa